You won't believe how fast my life spiraled out of control all because of a car. Not just any car. My brand new, glossy black Rolls-Royce. The day I parked it in front of my new house, I thought it was the proudest moment of my life. How years of grinding, saving, and hustling had finally paid off. But I had no idea that this single decision would drag me into a storm I couldn't escape, a storm that ended with me in handcuffs. Flashing police lights reflecting off that very car I worked so hard to buy. And at the center of it all, Karen. The HOA's self-appointed queen of the neighborhood. She lost it the moment she saw my Courant, I swear. She was ready to ruin me from that second on. I moved into the neighborhood just 2 months ago. It was one of those neatly trimmed suburban areas where every lawn looked like it had been copy-pasted from a landscaping magazine. The HOA Homeowners Association ran everything like it was some private military base, my realtor warned me. They're strict, but as long as you follow the rules, you're fine. And I did. At least I thought I did. The morning it all started, I woke up early just to admire my new car. It had been delivered late last night, wrapped in a protective cover, and this was the first time I saw it in full sunlight. The black paint shimmered like liquid glass, and the silver spirit of ecstasy hood ornament caught the sun in a way that made it feel royal. I couldn't stop smiling. Years of driving beat-up sedans, years of working late nights, eating cheap takeout, saving every penny. I finally made it. I parked the Rolls-Royce right in my driveway, careful to keep it within the exact HOA-approved distance from the sidewalk. I even reread the HOA manual to make sure I wasn't breaking any obscure parking rule. I was proud and I wanted my neighbors to see it. And that's when she showed up. Karen, imagine. Every HOA horror story you've ever heard, and then double. She stormed across her perfectly manicured lawn, wearing a visor, oversized sunglasses, and a neon tracksuit that almost glowed in the sun. She didn't even bother saying good morning. Her eyes were locked on my car like it had personally insulted her. "What is this supposed to be?" she barked, pointing at the rolls like it was a crime scene. I stayed calm. It's my car. Just had it delivered last night. Her jaw tightened. This is a family neighborhood, not some flashy car showroom. Do you even know our community guidelines? That thing does not fit the aesthetic. I almost laughed. The aesthetic? There were already a couple of BMWs and a Tesla in the neighborhood, but apparently my car crossed some invisible line. I checked the rules, I said, keeping my voice polite. There's nothing in the HOA handbook about what kind of car I can own. That's when I saw it, the spark in her eyes. It's not the kind of spark you get when you're curious or impressed. No, this was the spark of someone who just found a reason to go to war. Oh, don't worry, she said, pulling out her phone. If it's not in the handbook, I'll make sure it gets added. People like you think you can just move in here and show off. Not on my watch. She stalked back to her house, muttering something about keeping standards high. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. That night, I noticed something strange. I had set up security cameras around my house when I first moved in. Just for peace of mind, around 11 p.m., one of the motion sensors picked up movement near my driveway. I checked the live feed on my phone, and my heart dropped. Karen. She was standing right next to my car, shining a flashlight over it, crouching down to look under the chassis, like she was inspecting it for contraband. She even tapped on the windows, probably checking if it had tinted glass she could complain about. I almost went outside to confront her, but something told me to wait. If she wanted to play dirty, I needed proof. So I stayed quiet, watching her through the cameras as she took photos from every angle. The next morning, I woke up to an official letter taped to my front door. It was from the HOA. Notice of violation. Vehicle does not meet approved community standards. I laughed when I read it until I saw the fine at the bottom. $500. That was the first shot fired. But Karen wasn't done. Over the next few days, things escalated fast. HOA letters kept piling up, car parked too close to the sidewalk, excessive shine creating glare, potential noise disturbance from future engine revving. It was absurd. And every time I looked out my window, I'd catch Karen watching me, her arms crossed, smug look on her face. I decided enough was enough. I called the HOA office, demanded to speak to someone in charge, and when I finally got through, they admitted reluctantly that Karen had been filing complaints every single day. One of the board members even whispered to me, "She's intense. You're not the first person she's done this to." That night, I made a decision. If she wanted a war, I was ready to fight back. But I had no idea how far she was willing to go or how dangerous this was going to get, because just 2 nights later, I woke up to the sound of shattering glass, and when I ran outside, Karen was standing next to my Rolls Royce, holding a rock, and that's when everything changed. You know how some moments feel unreal, like you're watching someone else's life? That's exactly how it felt when I saw Karen standing there with a rock in her hand. Shards of glass scattered across my driveway, and the reflection of my shattered car window catching the streetlight. For a second, I couldn't move. My Rolls Royce, the thing I'd worked my entire life for, was ruined. "What are you doing?" I shouted, sprinting toward her. She didn't even flinch. She just stood there, her neon tracksuit glowing under the street lamp, holding that rock like it was some kind of weapon of justice. "This car does not belong here," she yelled, her voice shaking with some strange mix of rage and satisfaction. "It's lowering the property values, disturbing the peace, and I told you this neighborhood has standards." "Are you insane?" snapped, stopping just a few feet away from her. "You just committed a crime. You vandalized my car." Karen's lips curled into a smirk, and that's when I realized something terrifying she had been waiting for. "This. Oh, please," she said, tossing the rock to the ground. "Who's going to believe you? You're new here. You're the outsider with the flashy car. I've been on the HOA board for 10 years. Everyone here knows me. They trust me." I felt my blood boiling, but I kept my cool enough to pull out my phone. "Really? Because my security cameras say otherwise?" For the first time, I saw her expression falter, just for a split second. "You're bluffing," she hissed. "Try me," I shot back, holding up my phone. "I've got footage of you, snooping around my car, taking pictures, and now this. You just vandalized private property, Karen. You're going to pay for this." For a second, I thought I had her. I thought she'd panic, maybe even apologize, or at least back off. But this was Karen, and Karen didn't back down. Instead, she screamed, loud enough to wake the entire neighborhood. "Help! Help!" she cried, stumbling backward dramatically like I'd just attacked her. "He's threatening me. He's violent. Somebody call the police." I froze, stunned. "You've got to be kidding me," I muttered. Within minutes, lights flicked on. In houses up and down the street, neighbors peeked out from their windows. Some even stepped onto their lawns. And Karen. Karen was putting on the performance of a lifetime. "He lunged at me," she yelled, pointing at me. "He's been harassing me ever since he moved in. I told the HOA he was dangerous." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "That's a lie," I yelled back, holding up my phone. "I have everything recorded. She's the one who's been harassing me. She broke my car window." But it didn't matter. Corin had already planted the seed, and then I heard sirens. 2 police cruisers pulled up in seconds, lights flashing red and blue, the colors bouncing off my car's broken window. My heart pounded as the officers stepped. "Out, sir. Step away from the woman," one of them ordered firmly. I raised my hands, trying to stay calm. "Officers, please, you've got this wrong. I have security footage." "She's the one who—" "Sir," I said, "step away." The officer repeated, his hand resting on his holster. I took a careful step back, my hand still raised. "Look, I get it. You have to take precautions. But please listen to me. This is a setup. Check my cameras." She's been stalking me for days. Karen, of course, played the victim perfectly. She sniffled, dabbing fake tears with her sleeve. "I was just trying to tell him to follow the neighborhood rules, and he snapped. He threatened me." The other officer turned to her, speaking gently. "Ma'am, are you hurt?" "No." "But I was terrified," she said, her voice cracking like a bad soap opera actress, "sir." The first officer said to me, "We're going to need you to turn around." My stomach dropped. "What?" "No, you can't be serious. You're being detained for questioning. Turn around, hands behind your back." I wanted to argue, to scream, to fight, but I knew better. Anything I did now could only make things worse, so I turned around, clenching my teeth, feeling the cold metal of the cuffs snap around my wrists. Karen smiled. She actually smiled as they walked me toward the cruiser. This is a mistake. Called out to the officers. Check my security footage. It's all there. We'll sort everything out at the station, one of them said flatly. As they guided me to the car, Karen called out after me, her voice dripping with fake concern. Maybe next time you'll think twice before moving into a neighborhood you don't belong in. That stung more than the cuffs. Don't belong in? I repeated, glaring at her. But the officers shut the door. And that was the last thing I saw Karen standing there, arms crossed, looking victorious, as if she'd just won some war. She invented. The ride to the police station felt like it lasted forever. The officer driving didn't say much, and I sat there staring at my cuffed hands, replaying everything in my head. How did it get to this? How did a car, something I bought to celebrate my hard work, turn my life upside down in just a week? At the station, they processed me, took my statement, and put me in a holding room. I kept demanding they check my home security footage, but bureaucracy moves slow. Karen's version of the story was already spreading like wildfire. Apparently, she had told half the neighborhood that I had lunged at her with a rock. Some neighbors even gave statements backing her up. It's probably because they didn't want to cross the HOA queen. But I wasn't giving up. I called my friend Marcus, who's a tech guy, and begged him to pull the footage from my security cameras. As soon as possible. I need it now, I said. She's lying, and if I can't prove it, she's going to ruin me. Marcus got to work immediately. Hours later, while I sat in that cold holding room, my phone buzzed. It was a text from him. Got it. Sending to the cops now. I felt a surge of hope. An hour later, an officer finally came in, holding a tablet. He looked annoyed, maybe even embarrassed. He reviewed the footage, he said. You were telling the truth? You're free to go. Relief flooded through me, but it didn't last. Because even though I was free, this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Karen wasn't going to stop. She'd declared war, and now I had proof she was willing to lie, manipulate, even commit crimes to get her way. So when I walked out of that station, I made myself a promise. Karen wanted a war. Fine. But this time, I wasn't just going to defend myself. I was going to take her down. When I stepped out of that police station, the cool night air hit me like a wake-up call. I was free but humiliated. My wrists still ached from the cuffs, my car window was shattered, and thanks to Karen's lies, half the neighborhood probably. I thought I was some kind of maniac. But this wasn't just about my reputation anymore. This was about standing up to a bully who thought she could destroy anyone, who didn't play by her rules, and I wasn't about to let her win. The first thing I did was call Marcus again. I need more than just the window incident, I told him. I need every second of footage that proves she's been stalking me from the moment I moved in. Already ahead of you, Marcus said. I've got clips of her creeping around your car, taking pictures, even touching it without your permission. Want me to edit them into a single video? Yes, I said immediately. Make it clean, clear, and impossible to deny. Marcus, put a timestamp on everything. By the next morning, Marcus had sent me the finished video. It was perfect. Every sneaky thing Karen had done was laid out in chronological order, her lurking at night, snooping around my car, inspecting it with a flashlight, taking photos, and finally the grand finale, smashing the window. There was no way anyone could watch that and still believe her. But I didn't stop there. I started digging through HOA records. It turns out most of their violations and complaints were processed by Karen herself, because she chaired the neighborhood compliance committee. And I wasn't the first person she targeted. A quick chat with a few fed-up neighbors revealed stories about her harassing other homeowners over the tiniest things, mailboxes being too shiny, garden gnomes being non-traditional, even a kid's basketball hoop being an eyesore. Karen had ruled this neighborhood for years, and no one had dared challenge her. Until now, I decided to go big. Really big. That evening, I set up a small outdoor gathering in my front yard. Nothing fancy, just a few chairs and a portable speaker. Then I went door to door, inviting my neighbors. Some were skeptical, others curious. But when I mentioned I had something important about the HOA, everyone needed to see. They showed up. By the time the sun started to set, at least 15 neighbors were gathered around. Karen, of course, wasn't there. She was probably too busy plotting her next move. I stood in front of the group, holding my phone. I know most of you have heard things about me. I know some of you might even believe Karen's version of the story. But before you judge me, I need you to see the truth for yourselves. I connected my phone to the portable speaker and hit play. The video started with Karen sneaking onto my driveway at night, her flashlight sweeping across the Rolls-Royce. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Then came the part where she crouched down, taking photos, inspecting my car like it was some criminal operation. And finally, the moment of truth, Karen, standing there with a rock in her hand, smashing the car window. The neighbors exchanged shocked looks. Some whispered to each other. Few even muttered things like, "I knew she was bad, but this." When the video ended, I looked around at them. This isn't just about me. She's been doing this to people for years. I've talked to some of you. You know what I'm talking about? She uses her position on the HOA to bully people, to scare them into doing whatever she wants. But we don't have to let her keep getting away with it. An older man spoke up. "I've lived here for 12 years. She'll fine me $200 once because my roses were the wrong color. I thought I was the only one." Another neighbor, a woman, with 2 kids added, "She made me take down my daughter's playhouse because it was too bright. This is ridiculous." The mood shifted fast. People weren't just angry, they were ready to do something about it. "Tomorrow," I said, firmly, "I'm filing charges against her for vandalism and harassment. And I'm also filing a petition to remove her from the HOA board. But I can't do it alone. I need your support." One by one, people nodded. Some even clapped. For the first time, I felt like the tide was turning. The very next morning, Karen showed up at my driveway again. But this time, she wasn't smirking. She looked furious. "I know what you're doing," she snapped, storming toward me. "You think you can turn the neighborhood against me? You won't win. I am this HOA. People, listen to me." I didn't flinch. Not anymore. She blinked, caught off guard. I held up my phone. "I filed charges this morning. Police already have the footage." "And the petition to remove you from the HOA board?" Half the neighborhood signed at last. Night. More are signing today. For the first time since I met her, Karen looked. Her confidence cracked, just slightly. "You can't do this. She'll..." "Stayed," I said, my voice steady. "You know what? You should have just left me alone. All I wanted was to live here peacefully. But you had to make it. A war, and now you've lost." As if on cue, a police car pulled up to the curb. The same officers who had cuffed me days ago stepped out. But this time, they weren't here for me. "Karen Mitchell," one officer said, walking toward her. "You're under arrest for vandalism and filing a false police report." Karen's face turned white. "This is a mistake. I'm on the HOA board. You can't arrest me." The officer didn't even blink. "Ma'am, you have the right to remain silent." As they cuffed her, the neighbors started to gather, watching the scene unfold. Some filmed it on their phones. Karen tried to keep her composure, but it was useless. Her reputation, her power. Her entire self-made queen of the neighborhood image was crumbling right there in front of everyone, and as they guided her into the police car, she shot me a look. Not of anger, not even hatred, but disbelief. Like she still couldn't accept that she had finally lost. A week later, things in the neighborhood felt different, better. The HOA held an emergency meeting where Karen was officially removed from her position. A new board was elected, one that actually listened to people instead of terrorizing them. Neighbors who had avoided me before now stopped by to shake my hand, some even thanking me for finally standing up to her, and my Rolls-Royce, repaired, polished, and sitting proudly in my driveway, exactly where it belonged. Sometimes I still catch people staring at it, but now it's with admiration, not judgment. Karen, on the other hand, last I heard, she was facing a hefty fine, possible jail time, civil lawsuits from at least 3 neighbors she had harassed before me. So yeah, I started this whole thing thinking I was just buying a car. Turns out I ended up changing an entire neighborhood. And the best part? Every time I get behind the wheel of that Rolls Royce, I smile, because it's not just a symbol of success anymore. It's proof that standing up to bullies is worth it.